I'm from Bradenton, Florida, which is like an hour south of Tampa. So yeah, bit of a drive from Tallahassee. So I got my undergrad and I double majored in French and English. And English was the literature, media, and culture track. And I also got a minor in political science. I took French in high school, but I did have to start over. You know, I just really honestly, I think English really led me to French. It was just kind of like I had taken it as part of my English degree and I really enjoyed it and thought, you know what, I should just continue and get this skill. So I ended up majoring in it and yeah, it was great. So I'm pursuing a Master of Science in Information through the high school. We used to call it library science, okay. and then the more, I would say, up-to-date term is information science, because the field is kind of moving beyond libraries as far as where information settings are. So I'm doing it part-time, so I'm in my second year now of 3. So I work full-time here, and then that's how I'm able to really go to school, and so it's been really awesome. But I started actually my part-time graduate program, but also full-time job kind of at the same time. So it worked out, but it was kind of everything happened at once. So as the student engagement associate for the libraries, I help develop displays and passive programming, as well as digital content that promotes library resources and services, and also reaches students and promotes their overall wellness. I also help with coordinating events for our main libraries at Stroger and Dirac. So broken down, my main projects really include our book display at Stroger, our smaller book display for the Poplit collection. I also do work on blog posts. I do a lot of passive things, we just did a zine. And then I also do some Instagram reels and things like that. So a zine is a small magazine. It's a mini publication that's just printed off from the computer usually. And so it's a really accessible way for people to just make little magazines and pieces of art. And we made it for Pride Month. And so I did a LGBT history zine. Book display by the Scholar Support Desk in Stroger. That's my main project, and actually our OPS, Kaylin Williams, really helps coordinate that, and she works on that, I should say. And so she selects the books, she does the display design. I'm just really helping choose the theme and kind of steer the direction of our programming. And so for the Poplit display, though, that is where Lila Rush-Hickey works on, and so she has been helping me choose the themes, as well as develop the display collection, and then also do the design. So when I came to FSU, I was actually a political science major. I had some credits from high school, and so I was really passionate about advocacy, and so I thought political science where it's at. I took an intro to lit class my freshman year for a humanities credit, and it was with Dr. Jamie Ringlove, who is not at FSU anymore, but doing great things. And their class really we covered all types of literature, from different genres, different styles, different time periods, and studying that range of social and cultural contexts, and really writing essays about literature. It was the first time that I'd seen what humanities research could look like, and I grew up as an avid reader, of course, and I was involved in the arts, and so I think the self-expression that's available in literature really appealed to me. I will say also, I was fascinated by close reading. I didn't understand how to do it, and so I really wanted to develop those skills, and that eventually did, I think, lead me to French, because I started to really appreciate language and how it affects our understanding of the world and also our text. So after that, I was really motivated, and I changed my major to English. And so shout out to Dr. Ringlove. Studying a range of different types of texts really exposed me to a lot of different stories and people that I wouldn't have known before. And I think that obviously texts that are historically overlooked were also really impactful for me, because I had never read stories like that before. And the opportunities throughout English, honestly, I was encouraged to really think critically and independently, and throughout all my classes, I was encouraged to write essays and topics about things that fascinated me and really interested me. And I think that gave me so much confidence to go into my future, like professional aspirations, and also just my personal identity. Like, it was really empowering. I will say I loved all of my professors. They were all great, but I had really great experiences with Wayne Reed, Maxine Montgomery, Andrew Epstein, and Judith Pascoe. They were like wonderful. I enjoyed all of their classes so much, and they all really gave me that like confidence to go into whatever I wanted, but it was geared toward like humanities research for sure. Close reading is a skill that I really wanted to develop, and I really underestimated how much I would utilize it in my day-to-day life. Just being able to critically look at a text and being able to analyze the information there like thoroughly, it has served me very, very well in my professional life. Even just reading emails thoroughly, it helps me with that. And I would say writing is such a skill that is used, especially in libraries. You have to do a lot of writing to explain, not only emails and everyday communication and being able to articulate yourself clearly, but also if you want a grant, if you want something funded, if you really want a new program, you're going to have to explain why you want that and why people should give you money for it. And so having the skills to articulate that clearly really has helped me a lot. And yeah, I think English in general, as I mentioned, it really promotes critical thinking, and that's kind of foundational to what libraries are about. So going forward in libraries, I really am inspired to like kind of promote like, hey, here's all of these ideas, let's talk about them, let's have these like important conversations. I will say, like, on a personal note, the rigor of the English department kind of did prepare me for a different type of rigor in graduate school, which is reading and analyzing these articles about like library practices. They can be a little dense, and so having the ability to like sort through those materials and in kind of just like the stamina to pace yourself with the amount of reading you have to do. I will say it was kind of like I started this transition. I started this job and the English, I started this job and my graduate program at the same time. And so the transition was a little rocky, just kind of understanding like the balance between work life and school. And I think that's something that I'm going to carry forward with me is like, you can't do everything. You have to prioritize your sleep. And so whether that's in my undergrad or graduate school, it's something I've had to remember. So I graduated from FSU with my undergrad in summer 2021. And after that, I was applying for jobs in Tallahassee and kind of looking all over because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do grad school, but I wasn't sure if that was in English or something else. And so I was looking at jobs at FSU, and I saw various positions at the libraries. And reading the job descriptions, it's kind of hard to understand, like, how does this fit into like a big institution? But the more research I did about the libraries, and the more I saw like how much it supported like humanities research and how much it supported like all the research services here at FSU, I was very inspired by it, and I was like, you know what, maybe this is something that I could help with as well because of my experience in English with humanities. And so I applied for various jobs, and I got an OPS position, which is a part-time position here working in the Office of Distance Library Services. And their office is they're the people that help with the e-textbook program. And so I really got like a first-hand experience about like what the students need, as well as how the libraries are trying to fill those needs, like such as textbook affordability. How do we make textbooks cheaper and more accessible for students? I was also given the opportunity to work on the desk and work on some other newsletters for the libraries. The Sugar Scoop is a newsletter in campus that I used to work on. And so I really started to understand how the library is working to support students and how much they fill those niches that are there. And so after that, I was here for about a year in that part-time position, and this job opened up, and I was like, you know what, I was applying for grad school at that moment, and I really thought not only would this be a great opportunity to fund my education, but it would give me firsthand experience as a supervisor in a library setting, but also someone that has more planning experience, more direct, influence in the library. And so I went for it. I got the position. Woo! And so I've been here almost a year in this job, and it's been wonderful being able to interact so directly with the students, and to be able to promote displays and resources that speak to what they might need. So yeah. So I have really tried to utilize Lila's strengths when we collaborate. She is such a skilled writer, and she has really great graphic design skills and an eye for that. And so usually what we'll do is, as a group with the other part-time employees, we'll all kind of brainstorm our plans for the semester. What are the holidays coming up? What are some of the things that we want to celebrate? And then from there, we'll really get down with Lila and myself about blog posts. What kind of blog posts do we want to see? As well as making sure that we're kind of making the blog posts different and varying what the content is about. So, as well as the blog posts, we want to think about book displays. Are they different? Are they, reaching different student populations? Are they different types of books that might appeal to different students? And so she really helps me, she really has a pulse for the student body and what they might want to read, what they might need to know about the library. And so she helps me refine those ideas, and then once we've kind of solidified those ideas, I'll assign them to her, make sure everything's good, and she really just runs with it. And she has such an amazing, as I mentioned, eye for design. She has really great writing skills. So everything she's produced in her short amount of time here has been really wonderful, and I think really enhanced our overall programming for students. Currently she just put out a Disability Pride Month blog post, and I was so proud of her because it's not only informative, but it's fun. It talks about different books in the library that I didn't even know we had in our collection. So I'm very proud to be working with her, and also it's really cool to have another English person here. Yeah. So she started last semester. I can't recall the exact date, but I think it was in the beginning of the year. So it's only been around 6 months. Yeah. But it's it's been a fruitful 6 months. She has other opportunities. I wish her the best of luck, but I have told her that I would really like to work on things that she's also passionate about, so that I'm just not running the show. And she has great ideas for future events that we're going to try to implement. So I hope that she'll continue to grace us with those ideas. I really enjoy this position. I really enjoy being able to put out blog posts and displays that, as I said, speak to different student experiences, and kind of show the campus that the library is in touch and is trying to communicate with them. Yeah. And I think in the future, I've really enjoyed collection development and working with the collection, as well as readers advisory, which is recommending books. And so I'm definitely going to take that into my future job, but I hope to stay here for as I finish. I am hoping to get a librarian position somewhere. The Master's of Science and Information is kind of the degree you need to become a librarian. And so, I'm kind of hoping that degree will take me elsewhere, but who knows? Yeah. You have to have a master's degree, which I mentioned could be a library science degree, information science degree. There's different words for it, but that's kind of the thing you need to become an accredited librarian. And if you want to become a subject librarian, you would need an additional master's degree or PhD in your area of expertise. So we have subject librarians here that are very, very educated in their area of expertise. So Mallory Rawls is the humanities librarian. She has a master's degree in English as well as information science. So, that is further schooling that I'm not sure I'm gonna do at this time. But I am, interested in further research even if I don't return to school. So we have lots of blog posts and social media posts that are going out throughout the summer and throughout the fall. lots of digital content because a lot of students aren't here right now, so we just want to make sure that everyone's reaching the library. But I will say, we're most active on our Instagram and also our blog, fsuliv.com. Check us out. And then we also, so in the fall, that's when we're going to start ramping up our events and like our in-person programming, basically. So every semester we do a welcome week in collaboration with FSU campus-wide. And so we are going to have welcome week events here at the library at Strozier and Iraq. We're also going to have new displays, new like bookmarks, flyers, things like that, just to kind of welcome students into the library. But we're going to have that, and then we're also going to be changing up the displays monthly. So right now, in the summer, it's just been one display, but in the fall and spring, we change monthly. So I mentioned that I work on like a display for the popular literature section in Strozier, and that's relatively new. I've been wanting to find a way to let people know that, hey, we have new books, we have New York Times bestseller books from this year, so I started this Poplit display, which are just books stacked on top of the Poplit shelves, kind of featuring them. But Lila has been working with me to develop a new arrivals display, because we get new books in every month for that collection specifically. And so I really wanted to feature just a few of the new, like, really popular titles that we have in. So she's been I selected the books based on the committee work that I do, and then she's been helping me design the display and also create a bookmark that we're going to put out on the display table, which is, even if you can't visit the display and go to Poplit, you can just grab a bookmark and look up the books online if you're interested in them. So yeah. Lila also has been working with me about this idea about helping students find books in Strozier. Because if you're interested in a book and you look it up online, you might see a call number and go, where is that? So we've been working on a video and a blog post to kind of go hand in hand, just to break down like, what is a call number, how do you find them, what floor is it on, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping again to just kind of like make the library a little less daunting and a little like less confusing. If you want to just like browse for books, like how do you do that? And in general, I'm hoping to promote like our collection, our popular literature collection, but the general collection, and just like promote leisure reading. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I think really like increases like your retention as a student. If you're reading for fun, it's going to be easier to read for school. And so those are my current projects. So for various displays, typically it's not me selecting, it's like our OBS, but for the Poplit display, I'm actually on the committee that helps like select and purchase those books. So I am pretty involved in like the collection development of that. So for that display specifically, I was looking at books that have been acquired within the last 6 months. And so that's been kind of like an easier display to do. But for other displays, such as like Jewish American Heritage Month, I specifically would go in the collection and find books by and about Jewish American people and histories, and really kind of work about like representing those stories. But we also have more general themes. Lila has been worked on the current Poplit display, which is Classics Gone Graphic, and she selected the theme where it's classic novels but represented in a graphic novel form. And so it's just a way to make it more approachable. If you've always wanted to read Romeo and Juliet, but you don't want to suffer through Shakespeare's language, you can read a manga version. And so the process behind that is really, it can be 2 ways. You can physically go search in the stacks and select books that look interesting, which is a little more time consuming. Or you can use our online search catalog, which searching by subject is the way that I always do it. So I'll search by subject and go like fiction or romantic fiction or something like that. Sometimes you gotta make sure they like relate to the theme, but in general, like I love putting out books that have fun covers because people go to them. They go, what is this? And it makes them more likely to check it out. So absolutely. I'm currently undecided as to what I'm gonna do in the future. I could see myself working in a role to support like specifically undergraduate students in the transition from like high school to college, and understanding like helping them understand what information literacy is, how to use the library, like what is a database, things like that. And those foundational information literacy skills are things that I work on in my job now, but in a less instructional way, in a more like promoting and programming way. So working in like an instructional position would be something that's really interesting to me. But I'm also very inspired by the work that's happening in public and school libraries to promote information resources that their communities really need. And also the aspect of encouraging lifelong learning through reading and like community programming is something that I feel like I do here and I would transition well in those settings. So I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to learning more in my program. As I mentioned, I am interested in doing research regardless of if I pursue in academia, specifically like about libraries. That's a thing, library research. So I'm excited to do that, even just like within the next year. And then in the future, if I'm happy doing library research, there's also a PhD option for information science. So that might be a possible track, but who knows? Yeah. Big surprise. I love to read. I'm a big fan of like contemporary literature and like popular literature. As I mentioned, like that's why I'm really excited about the like Pop Lit committee and like the whole collection, is because I read those kind of books too. And so definitely reading for fun. I love movies. Listen, I love to leisure, and so I'll take naps. I love naps. But yeah, honestly, just taking care of myself in my off time, and going on walks with my dog. I would say that The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath is probably one of my like all-time favorite books. I read that in undergrad, and it really like was wonderful and really changed like was affirming for a lot of my personal identity. But honestly, that's a very tough question, and I don't know if I can answer that. That's the first one that came off the top of my head. The Bodleian Library in, I think Oxford. I'm not sure, but it's Bodleian Library. It's beautiful. The Trinity College Library in Dublin is also stunning. I did a project about the National Library in France, which is in Paris, and it recently got a remodel or something, and it looks stunning, and I wish I went there when I was in France, but I didn't. And then I also, the New York Public Library. I love the New York Public Library. It looks great. A lot of libraries in New York have been getting like upgrades and new remodels, and so it's been really fascinating to see like the new versus old library architecture. But those are just a few. Cool. Yeah.